What's going on, gang? Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at SparkToys. ST-02 Spartacus. Spartacus is a perfect name for a third-party Megatron, simply because Spartacus was a gladiator that managed to form a revolution. I can't think of a better name for a not Megatron figure. First off, this figure is absolutely gorgeous. Hands down, probably one of the best looking third-party figures I've gotten a hold of in a while. And I'll show you some of the better details here in a second. Just going to get back into a static pose, drop the sword, pull off some of its accessories, and show you the base figure as he appears out of the box. So we'll just pull off some of his accessories here. He's got a couple of guns, a sword, and a couple of other little things. Just taking a look from foot to head, you could see that the detailing and the paint apps and the stickers and everything is so well detailed. Just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not sure if this is showing up on camera, but the fade job on the paint is amazing. You see it's silver and then it fades and kind of washes out at the edges into a much more dusty color. And you could see it on pretty much all of the silver components. It's absolutely gorgeous. It holds together incredibly well and is sturdy as anything. I am just blown away at the top quality of this figure, especially when you get a hold of figures that Hasbro's producing, like Flopamus Windblade here. The figure comes with this default deadpan expression that looks very, very nice, but he also comes with 3 other faces that are applied by simply grabbing his face and pretty much just ripping it off with your fingers. Ah! Talking face, scowling face, and laughing maniacally face. This is probably my favorite one, but for the rest of the review, we're just going to go with the stock deadpan face. One thing to note about the other faces is none of them have the eyes, as you probably saw. That's because this little red piece pops out and then will attach onto the back of all the heads. So I didn't do that for the different faces because, well, I just didn't want to. But man, a face, the head sculpt, all the 4 faces total are all so cool. The accessories that Spartacus comes with are this little cannon, which can be loaded in different places, a giant fusion cannon, which can be mounted on either arm, and a slightly transforming sword. The sword has a pin here that part of the transformation, it'll hook into the back and just store under the vehicle mode. This pin here this pin's a little worrisome. I'm worried that it's going to break. It also does slightly transform by extending out, very similarly to Menasor from a different third parties. Though when it is extended, it stays out. It doesn't slip back in, which is nice. The last accessory is this gigantic shield, which pegs into his right arm. It also holds the cow catcher for his vehicle mode. So this is actually the front of the vehicle mode. In robot mode, it acts as a shield. In vehicle mode, it acts as the front of his giant tank. The last accessory that we're going to talk about today is the cannon that is attached on his back that poses via a very nice tight ratchet. It actually shoots a missile. So we can load the missile in, and it should snap into place. I loaded it backwards, apparently. And there we go. Whoops! When things are lined up correctly with the missile and the actual spring mechanism, it shoots pretty far. When it wants to, which is a problem because every time I try to shoot this thing, there we go. It kind of launches sometimes. Other times you just have to literally sit there, spin it in place, and then try it again. Another really cool aspect about the detailing is these missile pods on the sides of his hips actually can extend the missiles out via these little metal tabs. Sometimes they work better than others, but yeah, you could totally fire the missiles, sort of. A very nice touch. Considering how bulky the figure is, he is incredibly posable. Head looks down that much, looks up that much, swivels! Shoulders have forward and backwards ratchets. In and out ratchets. Ratchets in the elbows for up and down. Spin. Wrists move. Hands open and close, and the pointer finger, or the trigger finger, has a little bit of play in it. The others are all on just one pin. Torso articulates, though you do have to be careful with the little missile pods. Legs move in and out on satisfying ratchets. Swivel at the thigh, nice 90-degree bend at the knee. Toes have a little bit of articulation in them. Ankles are fully articulated and have great in and out movement for wonderful posing. So you can pull off some really, really sweet poses. This is almost a perfect rendition of what is on the back of the box. And you can pull off every pose that this figure has ever been pictured in. It's just absolutely stunning what they've managed to do with such a bulky figure. And speaking of bulk, there is a little bit of a complaint here. The backpack does flop around a little bit and does come unpegged rather easily, so you do drop things down, like right there, but it goes right back on with no real problem. I would have liked to have seen this a little bit tighter, but considering how tight and how awesome the rest of the figure is, I could totally look past it. Now, one thing that I'm a little bit bummed about is there is a panel here in the pec, or the one side of the chest, that opens up and flips out, and two LR44 batteries go in there. I tried several batteries, and, well, the lights that are supposed to light up here on the chest do not work on my figure. I have contacted the maker of the figure, and they are going to send me a replacement. So, unfortunately, I can't show you the light-up gimmick here, so sorry about that. I just have the worst luck with electronics and third-party figures. The transformations for this figure is much more complex than I originally thought it was going to be. So to start off with, we're going to put the arms forward, come to the backs of the forearms, and open up these panels, and then flip the fists in. Make sure the fists are fully closed, otherwise this isn't going to work, and things will go wrong real fast. Trust me. With his arms pointing straight up to the sky, turn the elbows or the upper swivels and point them down over the head. You don't have to cover the head, just point them down. Then take the treads and they will fold forward towards the front of the vehicle or robot mode, and then they can slide up on these plastic pins. They feel a little bit metal. It's hard to tell, but this is actually the only part of this figure that I worry about breaking is this piece right here. A little bit of maybe, I don't know, WD-40 might work. I don't know. Then take the outer shoulders and flip them up. Though you do have to kind of get the shoulder up and away from the rest of the robot mode, and then you can bring it back down. And this will come up over the edge of the elbow. And then once you do that, you can fold the arm back down. It will peg into the inside of the chest, and you can fold the tread up and snap it into place at the peg holes. Next, we can come down to the missiles on the side here and just kind of pull them away from the figure. And if you pop off the ball joint, oh well, you popped off the ball joint. Not a big deal. They do go right back on pretty easily. So I'd just like to lift them up and out of the way, grab the backpack, fold it down. And before I continue, I forgot one bit of posability. He has abs. He could do crunch maneuvers. Reach underneath and grab the missile pegs and fold them all the way out. Then the missile pod will peg into this little opening right here. Next, come down to the feet and reach underneath the feet, and this silver section is supposed to fold out like that. Do that on both bottoms of the feet, then fold the toes down, and they will peg into that silver section that we just folded out, like so. Then we can take the legs and split them open like that. Come to the inside of the legs, fold out these panels like that, flip the upper part of the panel in and peg it into place, and then there's this double hinge right where my finger is. You want to leverage that as far up on that double hinge as you can. There's a reason for that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. This is the one part of the transformation that is a little bit iffy, because these panels, while solid, the plastic here on the double hinge doesn't feel that solid. Next, take the entire torso section and spin it 180 degrees while pushing those side skirts down, or front skirts down. The screws facing down. So then we can bring everything up like that. But don't do that quite yet, because we have to bring the backpack down, peg it into place in the front of the crotch, then grab the section here, lift it up and out of the way and unpeg it, flip it all the way down, and then we could collapse the rest of the legs, and these red panels will peg into this section here and these tabs here. The last part of the transformation is just putting the shield and pegging it into place, but before we do that, we flip out what is effectively a cow catcher. So flip that whole section out, slide the outer bits out and open them up, and then just drop the whole shield unit onto the back of the figure like this. And then we could start arming him up. Mega fusion cannon, little tiny gun thing, cow catcher, and then finally the sword, which collapsed the hilt, and then this whole thing is supposed to peg in back here up against this. What? There is the vehicle mode. Now the last thing you can do is fold these sections in like that. I don't like that because it makes you lose the thrusters coming out of the back of the tank mode. And then as soon as you start moving things around, the back of the tank mode starts coming apart. But you end up with a really, really awesome looking Megatron tank. This thing looks fantastic, even if the back is a little bit messy. I love the way this thing looks. The cannon up here is on multiple different ratchets, so it can pose in different directions. This cannon just swivels. The main fusion cannon has a little bit of forward and back until you peg it all the way down. I love the way this thing looks. I think it looks super, super cool, and is definitely, or at least the closest we're ever going to get to an accurate War Within Megatron. And the coolest thing, the treads work, and they're rubber. And they work. Though it's really hard to get them to move. I dare say Spartacus is one of my favorite third-party figures from this year. It definitely belongs in your collection if you can get a hold of it. It's not cheap. At $130, it's definitely a big ask in the toy department. But if you can get him, especially if he's on sale in a few months, he is absolutely worth every penny. So gang, I hope you have enjoyed this video review. As always, I am Baltmatrix, asking you to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.